You know, when most of us hear the name Warren Buffett, we immediately think about investing, right? Rules for picking stocks, making money. But what if his greatest wisdom isn't about stocks at all? What if it's a complete mental operating system that you can actually install to upgrade your entire life? Okay, let's dive in. Because we're not just talking about a few principles. We are talking about a complete reboot of how you think, how you act, and ultimately how you win. And we're going to start with a question that really gets to the heart of this new OS. Are your good ideas actually the biggest threat to your success? I know, it sounds totally backward, right? We're all taught to brainstorm more ideas, to say yes to more opportunities. But the Buffett OS, it argues that this is precisely why most people get stuck at good and never ever reach great. You see, most people are running on what you could call a default OS. It's reactive. It's like a boat without a rudder, just getting pushed around by social media, by what other people want, by whatever feels urgent at the moment. You can see the difference right here. The default OS is about drifting. The Buffett OS is about designing. It's an intentional, principle-driven system that's all about finding the truth, not just getting likes or validation. It's about you grabbing the rudder and finally steering your own ship. So let's install that first piece of software. We'll call it Protocol 1, the focus algorithm. And this is all about taking your energy from being a scattered flashlight into a concentrated, incredibly powerful laser beam. Now, what I love about this is just how brutally honest it is. Look, we're all smart enough to avoid the really terrible ideas. The real danger, the real enemy, is what Buffett calls the addition trap, that huge pile of good enough projects and goals. Every single good idea is a little thief, stealing the focus and energy you need for that one great idea. They just seduce you into staying mediocre forever. So how do you escape the trap? Well, Buffett gave his pilot, a guy named Mike Flint, a dead simple 3-step process for getting radical clarity. First, you list your top 25 goals. Second, you circle the 5 that matter the most, the absolute non-negotiables. And here's the crucial part, the part that almost everybody messes up. The 20 you didn't circle? They're not your B-list. They're not your weekend projects. No, they are now your enemies. They're the toxic distractions you must avoid at all costs until you've achieved your top 5. This whole idea of intense focus is a principle Buffett absolutely lives by. And he often points to IBM's founder, Tom Watson, who said, "I'm no genius. I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots." That right there is the core of what we call your circle of competence. Think of it like this. The baseball legend Ted Williams. He knew that if he only swung at pitches in his sweet spot, he'd hit $400. Amazing. But if he swung at pitches just a few inches outside that spot, his average would drop to .230. Now here's the key. In life and in investing, there are no called strikes. You don't have to swing at every opportunity that comes your way. The game is won by waiting patiently for that perfect pitch right in your sweet spot, and then swinging with everything you've got. Okay, let's move to our next protocol, and you'll see how these pieces build on each other. If the focus algorithm is your offense, then Protocol 2, the integrity shield, is your defense. It's designed to protect you and your focus from the one thing that can derail it faster than anything else, chasing short-term approval. Buffett says there are really only 2 ways to measure your life. You've got the outer scorecard, which is all about reputation and applause, what other people think of you. But then there's the inner scorecard, which is based on character and self-respect, what you think of yourself. If you live by that outer scorecard, you're basically a slave to public opinion. The whole goal of the Buffett OS is to live entirely by the inner one. Okay, so here's a beautifully simple and maybe a little provocative test to see which scorecard you're really using. Just take a second and honestly answer this question for yourself. If you'd rather appear great to the world while knowing deep down that you're a failure, well, you're playing by the outer scorecard. The integrity shield is all about choosing to be great, even if nobody else ever knows. But look, this isn't just some fluffy, feel-good idea. In today's hyper-transparent world, integrity has become a massive economic advantage. A reputation for being trustworthy creates this trust premium. It just cuts through the friction. Deals get done faster. The best people want to work with you. Opportunities start finding you. It's like a moat that protects your long-term success. So how do you make sure you're always making the right call? Use this simple, incredibly powerful tool, the newspaper test. Before you make any big decision, just run this little mental simulation. Imagine the stories on the front page for your spouse, your kids, your neighbors to see. How do you feel? Proud or ashamed? If you feel even a hint of that shame, just don't do it. It's a simple, foolproof way to silence that little voice in your head that makes excuses, and instead listen to your true inner scorecard. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most powerful protocol in the entire Buffett OS. We call it the compounding engine. This is where your laser-like focus and your unwavering integrity get amplified over time, creating extraordinary results from what seem like ordinary actions. To really get the sheer power of this, just look at this number. An incredible 99% of Warren Buffett's net worth was earned after his 50th birthday. Think about that. It wasn't some genius move he made in his 20s. It was the result of consistent, patient action over a very, very long time. Time is the real heavy lifter in the compounding equation. And this chart illustrates the difference perfectly. We have a culture that glorifies these short, intense bursts of effort, right? A 2-week crash diet, a weekend cram session for a test. But those efforts, they just fizzle out. The real exponential gains, the massive bar on the right, that comes from small, almost boringly consistent actions repeated over decades. Intensity is a spark. Consistency is a glacier. The hardest part of compounding isn't the work itself. It's the psychology. It's about having the grit to survive that long, flat part of the curve, where you're putting in all the effort, but the results just aren't visible yet. It's like going to the gym for a month. You barely see a change. And this is the exact moment where most people quit, right before the curve is about to shoot upwards. So what's the big takeaway here? It's simple. You can't get back the last 20 years, but you have absolute total control over today. So just start. Plant the seed. Read 20 pages. Save $10. Make one honest decision. These are the small, consistent actions that, when they're powered by the compounding engine, will literally build your future. Okay, the installation is complete. You now have the 3 core protocols of the Buffett OS. But listen, software is useless if you don't actually run it. So let's turn all this information into a daily action plan. This right here is your new daily system check. Every morning or every night before you wrap up, just run this quick diagnostic. Number 1, focus. Am I pruning the good to make room for the great? Number 2, integrity. Does this decision pass the newspaper test? And number 3, compounding. What small, consistent action did I actually take today? This simple 30-second checklist, this is the bridge between knowing about the Buffett OS and actually living it. This is how your focus, integrity, and patience start working together as a single, powerful engine. And at the end of the day, why do all this? Buffett is crystal clear that the goal isn't just a number in a bank account. He says the ultimate currency in life is love. And you can't buy it, you can only earn it by being lovable, by being honest, by being dependable, by being someone people trust and admire. So we'll end with the ultimate test. It's not about what a newspaper might write about you. It's about what the people you care about most will say and feel when you're gone. Define that first, and then reverse engineer your entire life from that single endpoint. Because that's not just how you build a great portfolio, that is how you build a great life.